everybody, Martyn the Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying an EP peanut butter, right? You can tie these in all manner of colours, you can tie them bigger than this, smaller than this, just to suit your fishing. Just to give you an idea, this one is 90mm, so 3.5 inches, a wee bit over, and it's on a 1/0 Gamakatsu S10S 4H, right? These are really good flies. Anybody that really has problems with them, it's usually like because they overdress them, right? This fly is absolutely fantastic when tied properly, right? It's quite slim, it will sink, right? If your flies are no sinking, you're tying them too heavily. Like, this is before we even start, we'll say this, because I mean look, you can see right through that, but when there's nothing, when it's on a flat background like my shirt, you've got this pretty clear fish shape, right? Now the other thing to think about is the fish probably aren't looking at it straight side on, probably they're looking kind of like that, below and behind, and it's swimming, but it's also got a fairly distinct shape, right? And also, like, you can just see the wee bit of gill, the shading in the back, right, from various angles. It's a very, very good, very effective baitfish pattern. And as I say, if you're having difficulty, it's probably because you're putting too much material on the fly. So as always, I'll stick a materials list in the description, although there's only a couple of materials in it, right? You can adjust to suit hook size and all that. Now, I use EP fibre most of the time. Some folk like the Congo hair and all that. By all means use that. But it's still a peanut butter, right? It's not a Congo hair shad or whatever some folk like to call it. So I'm going to prepare some bunches before I start, right? It's actually a wee bit too heavy, so I'm using bucktail white, which is kind of nearly white. Polar bear's another popular belly colour for the baitfish pattern, or the natural colours I should say, natural kind of baitfish patterns. But use what you like. I got a couple of them. So just to give you an idea, right, as I say, you want it really sparse. If I twist that, I mean that's just a quarter turn, it's half a toothpick, right? Very, very thin. I've got my gill colour ready, so I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to get some, the colour I'm using for the back here is, this is actually EP 3D fibre. Now this is one of the reasons I use EP. The 3D fibres are nicely blended. I've tried the Congo hair in that, and like the blend colours, they're just like bunches sitting next to each other, they're not that blended. And if I need to blend it myself, it's not worth it. It's not worth buying it, you know, I could just buy the separate colours and blend it. So, same kind of amount. And I've got a couple of wee bits lying on my desk from the previous fly as well. And I'm just sitting these, I've got a wee bit of Velcro stuck to the side of my desk. And that's fine, that's just where it just holds the material. And it will no blow away or fall off or anything. So, I've got my hook and my vise. This is a 1/0. I'm tying, it's a Gamakatsu S10S 4H. You can use an SL12, SC15, your preferred saltwater hook. And I'm going to run on some super fine mono, right? Nice and clear. I always use a clear thread, I don't use like a nylon thread or anything, a polyester, just because the nylon thread, the clear monofilament, it disappears, right? Like, you know, it just takes the colour of whatever's below it. So come back to the bend, I threw a wee half hitch in there just to lock that back point, stop any movement in it. And I've come back to I've brought the thread back so that it's hanging at the hook point, right? You'll not be able to see that well. If I zoom in, you still can't see. Yeah, you can just see that there, I think. I will zoom back out in a minute. I'm going to take some red. You can use silky fibre as well. And I'm just going to fold this over the thread and let it come down. I'll just hold it to the bottom there with one half on either side of the shank. Separate it. How big do you need your gill is up to yourself. I just like to kind of come to about the back of the hook there. That's plenty. And that's too short to use for the next one, so that can go away. I'm going to use holographic silver flash, and it's just angel hair. You can use whatever you like. The EP sparkle's fine as well. It's a nice big packet that you get with that actually. Just catch that in. Don't be too worried about it being tidy and all that, because the angel hair's very poorly behaved at the best of times. Just catch that in. Now I know that my fly has got to be shorter than this, so I'll just trim that, and then a wee bit of moisture. And I'll zoom back out so you can kind of get a better look at the overall fly. Just tidy that up a wee bit. I'll bring my thread. I'm back at the start of that tying point, right? The thread's there where my dubbing needle is. And I'm going to start with my back colour, which is that eel green or American eel. I can't remember the exact name of the colour. I'm going to cut this first bunch. Because this flies, I don't need a full length. I'll cut this like sort of 2/3, 1/3. I'll set this aside for a later tie in. Right, what we'll do, me further down the fly. Just taper that a bit. Although you're going to trim it at the end, I still like to kind of put the taper in. And then I'll just give this a quick check, make sure it's plenty long enough. So it's about 11 centimetres. So I've got some wiggle room to play. I'm going to catch this with my thread, right, just take a gathering wrap there, make sure it's on top. I'm going to take my thread back, right, so I'm winding back towards the bend, so that when I go like this and fold this over, I easily catch the material, right. I don't have to worry about like trying to walk the nylon up the front, walk that monofilament thread up the front of the material, which can sometimes be a bit slick, right? Because I've come, there's already 2 or 3 mil there of space, it just bites in and grips it. So the belly colour I'm going to cut the same way as I did the back colour, and I'll set that aside, and I'll taper that a wee bit as well. Just get the kind of midpoint, tie this on the underside, you can go back 2 or 3 turns. I don't need to come right back hard against the tie-in. I'll fold this over the hook and do that, put it sort of down at the angle towards the back, tidy that up. And I want that to be clearly separate. Just realised I've forgotten my side colour. A very thin bunch of this. This is about half of the amount of the other colours. Just pink I'm using. Just, you know, some of the wee herrings and all that, they've got that wee bit kind of pink or sometimes violet in them. Like the lavender EP fibre would be a good option for that. So I'm going to get some more flash and just sort of wrap it around the hook. be too fussy. Just make sure you've got it sort of everywhere. And it's not just sitting in one big clump. Right, now I would say, like, you can even pick up the comb if you want with this flash and just sort of brush it in, and you'll see the way it wants to sort of separate or clump together. And do this before you put in any adhesive or anything, because that's when it's finalised, right? So we'll go with that, and that's fine. And your shape's sort of already starting to happen, right? It comes together very quick. Head cement, I much prefer to use head cement than super glue for this, because head cement's all waterproof, super glue isn't, right? Got to take the next full bunch of fibre, cut it in half, put one of them back down, taper the ends, just get a wee wipe just in case there's any excess, bring my thread forward slightly, and I'm already going to start trying to build the taper into it so that the trimming isn't excessive. Take that back like 3 wraps, 4 wraps, something like that. And there's a space between the tie-in points, right? They don't need to be hard against each other, right? Again, this is the thing. Allow that space with the light bunches of hair that you can see through, and you'll have a sparse enough fly. Fold it back, a couple of turns. Belly section. Half. Put that back. Get a taper in it. Both ends, and then just sort of find the midpoint again. 1, 2. Looks not bad. Fold it over the hook, and make sure that that white stays on the underside, right? I don't want that coming past the halfway. That's where I've got my side material, which is the light pink. I'm going to put that down there and get a nice tone. You know, it's. I feel like the pink's nice on this fly. The colour is not that strongly apparent, especially under this light, but in natural light you can see it, and it's just enough that it makes a nice wee blend with the up from the white material into the olive colour of the back. Just make sure I'm sort of in the middle. Right, run that along, come back, same thing, just get that right on the side. Now the rotary vise is handy for this, but you just put it right back parallel to the hook shank. I don't want it coming up into the olive, right? I just want it to sit there. It will mask the transition a wee bit, mask the shank, and it will also add that wee slightly three-dimensional aspect to the rest of the fly. Wee drip flash, it's too much. And I mean, I just basically follow the steps that Enrico uses. There's videos other guys they do it sort of differently, and I don't really see why. I don't think it improves the tying in any way. And the sort of original steps on this fly, I mean, changing it's not really, they're not adding anything, to be honest, you know. I've seen guys doing sort of weird high ties and all that, and it doesn't matter. Right? You stick with the original steps, and you'll always get good results. Right? You'll always get this nice body shape. So I've done these two. These have been sort of a half a length and 2/3 of a length of fibre on this size of fly. And I've got a nice sort of teardrop back end. This is a sort of swimming section of the fly. The next parts will be shorter, sort of bringing the taper up, and then the tie-ins are going to get closer together so that the head of the fly has a bit more density, which will again sort of help move the back end of the fly, and it will still be sparse, but it will be a bit heavier than this, right? That's what we're aiming for here. So, see what we've got here. No. Huh. Right, I just had a bit there, and I thought it was a wee bit heavy from the previous fly, so I just took some fibre out of it, put it back on the Velcro. Right, you can, just because it's taken off of the pad doesn't mean you need to use it. You know, you can always adjust, right? That's the same thing. Tie it in, move back, fold it over, catch it in. Wee bit white. Come to the midpoint, which is roughly there. I mean, again, you've got to be trimming it, so you don't need to be super anal about getting it exactly in the middle. Keep the white on the underside. Come back. And we've got my other wee bit of pink. It's just this other half of the same bunch. Again, nice and sparse. Tie it in, fold it over. And I don't need any more of the pink because the shape will come quite nice. There we go. Just want to check that before I just want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it with the pink before I go any further. But that's not bad. Right, you can see I've got a decent wee back tone. This will be my last tie on a flash, I think. Fold it, spread it. Right, and don't worry if it looks a bit messy with the angel hair or whatever. And you don't need to be super fussy, but I've got a clump that's off close and no spread, so I'll just come in with my thumbnail and make sure that's better separate it before I put any cement on it. Get plenty. Don't worry if that cement goes up into the fibres a wee bit. That's okay. So we'll do another tie of olive, or eel green I should say. Come forward, tie back. I mean, you don't need to really tie back down in it, and you can sort of hold it up. There we go. White. Put a taper in. Again, pull it down, make sure the white's separate. You don't want it up on the back. You don't want that creeping up, you want that clear separation. tidy up. Now, there's probably space to put 2 more turns in here, 2 more tie-ins. It's up to you really how dense you want the fly, right? I like to always leave a wee bit of space. You know, I can add a weed guard after the fact if I want, or I can just tie one on, I suppose. But I never tie right up to the hook eye. Now, what you can do if you want, especially you're noticing the commercial ones, they always seem to finish with the black, the dark colour, the top colour. I don't think that makes any difference from a fishing point of view, but you might like that, the look of that. So that's something to think about. I don't usually bother actually, but I've picked up the white now. We'll just split this. It's a bit too long, so let's just take a section of it. Tie it back down. As I say, I could easily put another bunch in front of that, but I'm not going to. Get the taper in, tie back, fold it over, and tidy up, right? That's it, right? So there's like, what, 4, there's the 2 tail tie-ins, and there's like I've got 4 along the body, right? So it's basically 2, 2, 2 most of the time. If you find that you've selected thicker bunches and it's filling it up quicker, then just put 1 less in, or if you've used sparser bunches because you've been trying to dial in, you know, you've maybe gone a bit too sparse because you're trying to dial it in, you can there's nothing wrong with adding an extra bunch if you feel you want to, right? Now, I'm happy with that as it is. I've got nearly a hook eye clear. I've got this, like, here's one here with a weed guard on it. Plenty of space for the weed guard. Same, right? It's just the same fly. And also, I've got space here if I wish. Like, after the fact, I can come in and do like super glue and coat it wire guard if I'm out fishing somewhere and I feel I need it. Right, 2 wet finishes. Alright, I'm going to hit this with some head cement, and I'll hit it with another coat once I've done all the trimming and get the eyes set and that. Just drop a wee bit in there as well. Right, but that's the fly's tied. It's sealed. It's ready to cut and all that. Now, before you cut it, you need to brush it, right? Now, normally I would not cut them here. I would cut them over the bin, but so that you can see what I'm doing. Obviously, I'll do it here. So I'm just brushing that, untangling the fibres. Sit at my jeans. Get a wee shake. Right, that will snap any of the, if there's any like looped up fibres or angel hair or anything. Right, so I'll just zoom this out a wee bit. Excuse me, so you can see. Now, the trimming is fairly easy as well, right? Like, but take your time. Don't rush the trimming. Like, if you trim too quick, you can't undo it, right? Up to this stage everything was undoable at each tie-in, and before you put the glue on, right, you could go back. Now every action you take is final. So get yourself long scissors. I like a serrated scissors better. I use these Renamade Supercuts, really good. And I'm just going to come in from the back, right, and cut down I'm just going to cut a straight line to the hook there, right. That's my first cut. Don't worry about the back, will be a bit kind of messy, but just don't worry about that. We'll turn it. Same again, a nice straight cut at roughly similar angle, right? It's no end of the world. And then you've got a baitfish, right? Now, if you don't use a serrated scissor, it's very hard to cut. I think it's very hard to cut with the fibre. The serrated scissor will allow you to do that, but I do think it's always, I find it anyway, always easier to just go with or go against the body, like cut up and from the back to get that shape. And I'm just cutting up, I'll just see how it looks. And you can look at your other fly if you like. You know, you can take the other one and see how how they look next to each other. What's the shape of the head like? Not bad actually. Not bad. Just need to adjust my angle a wee bit here just to get that kind of continuation and get a shake. And then you can come up the sides, right? Just shape it. Just get the fibre, get the shape you like. Small cuts are better. Now I want this to be like 90mm, more or less. If it's 92, I don't mind. But we're a wee bit long, so I'll just finalise that size like that, and then that gives you maybe a wee better idea of the top. Right, so that will do just now. You see, and then cuts a bit more. That will do just now. Right, you can see I've got a fairly nice wee baitfish shape. I might want to trim a wee bit more off the belly, but we'll see how it looks once I get the eyes on. I always like to get the eyes on because that kind of gives you that's the fibre's got to be set in their final position. Or when you put the eyes on, I mean the fibres are kind of locked, especially these. If I put the eye in line with the hook point roughly, I'm sort of fixing these middle fibres at the angle so they're not going to move. And then you can have a wee look and decide, do I need to trim it or am I happy with how it is? Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you find you need to give it another trim. Now I'm using the EP solid eyes, right, or you can use the Wopsy ones or whatever, right. Or you can get them with doll eyes or crystal eyes, sometimes they're called. You can buy bulk packs, you'll get them on eBay, much cheaper. Now on a wee fly like this, you don't need to melt a hole, right. If I was, video would just stop there, but I think we're okay. So on a small fly like this, right, as I say, this is just under 4 inches, right? It's 3.5 inches, something like that. 3 3/4, 90mm. And it's nice and sparse. I don't need to melt a hole, right? On a big fly, like if I was tying it for pike or something, I'd get the hot tip and I'd melt a wee slot, because I would have obviously more material at the head here, and melting the hole allows you to get the adhesive in contact with the hook shank, and that's what gives you a durable eye. Now, I think, and this is the best glue, right? Marine Goop, right? Amazing goop, amazing marine goop. It's UV resistant, sunproof, it's salt waterproof. You can use the E600 as well. You can use something like liquid fusion, but that takes a long time to set, and the eyes will slip about or out a bit when you try to stick them on. I think the E6000 is very similar, but it's just a bit runnier. Don't use super glue, don't use Zap-A-Gap, it's rubbish, the eyes fall off. It's no use at all. It's easier to handle than goop, right? I know why people don't like goop. But once you get used to working with goop, it's actually very simple. So I've got a blob here, right, quite a decent blob. I don't want to skimp on my glue, right, although this is bigger, got to be bigger than the eye, but that's fine because I want it to let press in, right. So I sit it in line on the shank in line with the hook point, and then I roll my dubbing needle and roll the needle clear, right, and the needle comes out clean, and I turn it so that the needle is moving. In my case, I'm turning it anti-clockwise because I tie left-handed, right. The fibres are going to the back, so that's rolling along, but I'm dragging it back, and it's no trying to bunch the fibres towards the hook eye, right. Got a good blob there. It's wider than the eye, or it will be when I press this in, but that's fine. And just press it in, right. I mean, I've been a bit heavy-handed there with this blob, but I don't mind. Fly for my box, that's fine. That eye's never coming off. So I want the middle of the eye in line with the middle of the hook shank, and I want the middle of the eye sort of in line with the hook point, like that. And it's just a case of doing the same thing again. A wee bit of goop. Just take a blob with your needle out of the tip of the thing, the tube. Right. And it's the same deal, right? I'm going to, may actually be able to see it better. I'm going to come in on the shank in line with the point, and then slide that back. I've got a wee bit, still picked up a wee bit more there, so just again just wipe it on. The needle's essentially clean, the fibres are not really that disturbed, and I'll just push the eye in, and I've got plenty of time, right. Again, another advantage over super glue, aside from the fact that it sticks much better, is I've got plenty of time. I can take this out of the vise, I can look at it from the front and the back, make sure the eyes are even, and like if you've got, as I say, I've been pretty heavy with the goop on my side. Now press them in so that the blobs of goop should touch each other. But I mean, I can maybe come in and you can trim some of that off later if you're really bothered by it. For me, I don't care, right? For my fishing, that's fine. I'd rather have a wee bit of extra glue that I can see and the eyes stay in place. So now we have a wee look at the fly, right? And I can see that as I've squeezed the fibres, I've sort of disturbed the shape slightly. That's fine. Not too much, but just a wee bit. So I'll just come in with my scissors again. So round that off a wee bit. I mean, if you want to, you can wait for the glue to be fully dry, but those fibres won't stick to it, that's fine. And I like to just come to just let the hook be just clear of the material. I don't need it hanging at the bottom. And there, that looks quite good to me. And you can trim these and trim them. There comes a point where you just need to say okay. And I think that's I'm at that point. So there you go. That's the peanut butter. If you want to add a weed guard, you can. I'll show you how I do it. I think this type of weed guard is fine. I'm just going to start the same thread on that wee nose area. Right, now this is optional, but I mean, like this colour, you could be up and about mangroves and all that, and one mangrove and you've lost your fly. Now I would also say, see this fly, it's actually quite a quick tie when you're not spending ages talking about it. So I'll just get a loop. This is £20 hard mono, or Fluoroflex it is actually, it's £20 real Fluoroflex. It's not too stiff, right? Don't go crazy stiff on your weed guard. And I've just got that doubled length, made the loop, 3-4 wraps, and then I'll take 3 or 4 wraps behind the loop and in front of the prongs, and pull it down. Right, just tighten that vice up. Right, the prongs just try to cross each other, but I can just pull them like that. I'll turn this way, and I'll come up and just take a wrap around each standing leg, and that will hold them apart. And then get them to a nice angle that you like. You can adjust it with the thread and whip finish. And that, now this is not that hard, right? It's enough that on a slow pull, if you get in the mangrove, or you cast it behind something, you want to bring it around a stick or something, it's just enough to turn the fly, but it will absolutely give way to a strip strike, right? Properly fitted weed guards don't cost you fish, right? They save you flies, and they probably catch you some fish because you're willing to throw the fly into a place where an unweed guarded fly, you would just be certain to lose it. So the last thing then, just a bit more cement. Just get plenty in, don't be shy with this. And there's your fly done. Right, yeah, a bit of excess, just wipe it away. There you go, that's the peanut butter. An excellent baitfish fly, it really is, they're really good. They catch everything that eats a baitfish, and you should tie them up, but keep them sparse. You want to be able to see through them. So I hope that was useful, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to give me a thumbs up below, and I'll see you for another one. Tight lines guys, bye.